The basic task of design is to solve a problem or to fill a gap or to offer an alternative. And at the end of the design process, you have to have a product that has to sell.
You were doing well for Arvind. And I think Flying Machine is what you were working for?
Flying Machine, US Polo, Ed Hardy, Energy, which was my favorite brand but came and went.
All designers come up to this glass ceiling and then they can't break open. And what are the avenues for breaking the glass ceiling? Because you broke the glass ceiling a decade and a half ago.
Start saying no. Start saying enough. Because wherever function and form can come together and they're both in equal weightage, that's the best possible design. And that's always gone on to become an iconic product. Right? We launched HRX with this one product.
I don't see your life as even. It is uneven and also meandering, right?
No, because everything is connected, right?
Yeah.
My having worked on various things gives you that. We had this whole debate about should we do buy Myntra, should we not do buy Myntra. Early days, there was no playbook for us to follow. More importantly, if you screw up, the main brand gets, that name gets spoiled. Rather than blocking AI, let's learn how to work with it. You can't wish it away anymore. It's here. But you need to understand what you can and what you cannot take at face value.
How do you framework a trial?
The last time we met, I was on my last startup. I was working with products I have never worked with. I've consumed wholeheartedly as a consumer. I've never operated in the supply chain. I've never designed, never created, never sold, never done anything. I was learning. So the framework was
Welcome to Creative Spark Plug. Creative Spark Plug is a black book of creative journeys. In this podcast, we speak with creative people and record their stories. It inspires youngsters, it gives insight into creative lives, and nourishes the ones that are feeling challenged. Today, we're speaking with a very dear friend of mine. In his words, we've known each other more than half our lives. He and I go back to the same alma mater. We are both from NIFT. He studied fashion, I studied accessories. The first few years of Gauti's life post-graduation looks like most of our lives, which is one job, doing things and all of that. And somewhere things break. But there are four things that we are kind of intrigued about when it comes to Gauti's life. I'll call him Gauti because that's how I converse with him. He's Gautam Kotamraju. The world knows him in multiple ways, and we are curious about all of these aspects of him. But to put cornerstones to what we will dig essentially, or hope to dig and find moolah there, one is the fact that he's a creative person. He's built brands, he's a fashion designer by education. That is one aspect of things, the multiple brands that he's given wings to, actually given birth and then given wings to. The second side of him is the fact that I know him as an avid biker, bike lover. Automotives are his thing. I can also tell you the story about how I got stranded in the middle of nowhere, middle of the day, raining, and who do I call up? Of course, Mr. Gautam Kotamraju. Like, Gauti, bike start nahi ho rahi hai. And Gauti tells me how to look for a blade, scrape off the surface of the carburetor, put it back and start off. I don't think so I can look at Gauti without him and his bikes, right? The third aspect of him is where he wears the hat of an entrepreneur. And it's rare that we see a creative person doing entrepreneurship with that elan. And there is a lot of story. There are hits and there are misses. And there is a lot to be learned, understood, dug there. I'm curious about that aspect. The fourth aspect is almost I haven't come across too many people who are able to do these three things. And apart from that, have an insight and manage funds from a creative space. This is where his if you look at his LinkedIn profile, it leads, he's on a mission to change India's AQ, aesthetic or artistic quotient. I'm very curious about that. And I believe that's linked to the other three things that he does and the fact that he manages funds. So these are the four cornerstones in which we will be talking. Not necessarily, but we'll try to be in a framework. As you know, we keep it fluid and we keep on going ahead with lots of chats and juicy conversations here and there. He's a Fauji kid. Gauti, where did you start? You started in Gorakhpur is what we just realized.
Yes, I was born in Gorakhpur. My grandfather was the CMO. He retired as a CMO, Chief Medical Officer of the UP government during the Raj days. right? And and post independence also. That's where he retired. And like most Indian families, large Indian families, all the mothers were sent to their dad's place to be, to give birth to their whatever sons, daughters, so on and so forth. So yeah, like a lot of my cousins, I was born in Gorakhpur.
You're a Fauji, Minto and you're Fauji kids. I know both your brothers. And you grew up in Gorakhpur
No, 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 no. So I'd say we grew up in, let's say, a few cities. Grew up, but primarily in Delhi and Simla. Right. Formative years were in Delhi, were in Simla, and Delhi. I spent a large chunk of my life. I was also in Bombay, Mumbai, post that for a while, but got Bangalored many years ago. Bangalored is a verb now, by the way. So I got Bangalored many years ago. And yeah, and I couldn't find any place better.
So what got you to NIFT and what got you to a creative field like?
So circuitous journey. See, so today it's very different. When this age of information, kids and their career counseling and helicopter parents trying to mold their kids' careers and whatever else, or shape their kids' careers, I think used to happen less. We were slightly free. माँ बाप को पता ही नहीं होता था हम हैं कहाँ पे. Correct. To me, slightly circuitous journey to NIFT. Correct. I, like a lot of other creative kids, I grew up sketching, drawing, in a lot of places, surfaces, so on and so forth. Figured out later that there was something called NIFT. It used to be an IG Stadium then, back in the day. So I'd go hang out there just to kind of feel the aura, what's happening, all these cool people walking around, and like, we've coming from that classic government Lal Batti ka gaadi wala background, Babu background. Correct, very different world for us. And so that got me. Then I learned about, and there was no internet to do any research really. So then I learned about SPA, IG sitting ke baaju mein kahin pe SPA tha. CEPT, another thing. So it was not particularly fashion as such. Fashion was actually my least of my choices. Like least of in order of preference, right? Then I found out about NID, because I used to sit and design stereos. And I tried my best to redesign a Walkman. Correct. I was obsessed with a Walkman. Then a Polaroid, not Polaroid. Yeah, Polaroid also, but what was that Insta camera that came out for Hotshot.
Chota film.
Yeah, Hotshot. And all those things used to really like intrigue me. So, and it's about design. Correct. So, and then about Corbusier versus, Doshi versus, those things also kind of intrigued. And then NIFT kind of, so now thing is, for a creative kid, and also growing up in a system where I was forced to take science, right? Because our system does not allow you to choose what subjects you want. So I wanted to do physics, geography, engineering, drawing, and so on and so forth. But nahi kar sakte yaar, you have to, because अच्छे marks चाहिए, तो you've got to go to science you करना है, otherwise अब arts लेने वाले तो come on, आकाश आपके बच्चे ने arts लिए, ओहो क्या हो गया. That's that middle India that we grew up in, Gen X. And so fine, took science, was thrown out of the Roorkee entrance examination because I was still drawing cars. I still doodle cars and other things. Correct. And so I was thrown out in half an hour because I was passing that and I was passing it to somebody else and they were passing it because none of us knew what we were doing there. Correct. So I got thrown out of that. So we were figuring out. Then for 2 years after school, this very close friend of mine, Prithvi, and we painted saris. We tried to sell them. We tried to do. Bongi. To me, one of the greatest creative minds I've ever known in my life. So yeah, so I ended up, we're going to NID, and in the situation test and then subsequent the group discussion, I fell out with the faculty because I was trying to defend what we'd made. We'd made these Apsaras and these Ajanta, Ellora, Shadanga, the 6 limbs of Indian art, kind of figures on a sari, on a Tussar sari, I think. and we were trying to sell it, and we were accused of promoting nudity, and that kind of got the goat. And I should have realized that they were looking to trigger. I shouldn't have got triggered. Stupidly, I got triggered, and I was told to leave.
Where was this?
NID.
Okay.
Correct. And I came back home really depressed, and I took this really long bus journey. I ended about to Delhi in a bus, changing I think 5 or 6 buses along the way, right? Somehow एक बार बस के ऊपर भी बैठ के आया, कहीं कहीं पहुंचा. So anyways, I got back to Delhi really depressed, and someone told me, by then I'd missed the Delhi entrance examination for NIFT ka board. Then someone called and said, hey, listen, NIFT is also opening in these 5 other centers. But at that point of time, there was no centralized NIFT exam. So you had to pick one center, go there, sit and write the entrance, come back. If you pass, cool, right? Then you go back and you give the situation test and appear for the interview and go back. There's no second choice. If you don't get through Bombay, you can get through Calcutta or Gandhinagar or wherever else. Delhi was always number 1 rank, right? So, because it was the original. So I chose Bombay. I wanted to get out, and I wanted to just get out of Delhi, right? I had too much of, let's say, extracurricular activities, correct? Staying up days at a few nights at end and everything. So I had too much of that. I thought Bombay would be better, correct? And so Bombay happened. NIFT was to me more of an escape from Delhi because it was opening up in Bombay. If it were, I wouldn't have applied. It was in Gandhinagar or Chennai or wherever. Nothing against those cities, but at that point of time, I thought it was cool to get out, and go to Bombay, and so that's my accidental NIFT journey. And I also met 2 really close friends who now very, very close friends. I met them randomly, and we all applied for NIFT together. And surprisingly, all 3 of us got in together.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Pooja, Sharika, and Tarun Sinha.
Right.
Tarun, I think recently the CEO of OLX or something like that. I don't remember, but so he's also moved on from design. But anyways, so yeah, my long answer to your short question.
So just a very curious question. Since you were so much into cars and automobile and all of that, why not automobile engineering and why only fashion
Yeah, engineering.
or automobile design?
No, the automobile design. There was nothing about automobile design in India. I did want to go to Italy, right? But we came from that classic government servant family where there was never any money to send your child abroad for, on a non-scholarship thing to go and study design. और वो भी हमारे खानदान में तो नहीं हुआ है. बाकी सारे IAS, IPS, IFS, ambassadors, services, right, are 4G kids and non-4G kids, but service kids. Like I said, the Lal Batti kids, correct? And so that didn't happen. And that's why NID actually, saying, okay, I'll go product design, I'll do something like the transistor radio ही बना लेंगे और कुछ नहीं बना पाए तो. But obsession with my biking and obsession with car and obsession with, more importantly, details. Is the details in any sort of design, whether it is architecture or interiors or vehicular or automobile or fashion. Also, it's the details that to me are important than an overall broad brush.
Cool. बाइकिंग हो गया, लिफ्ट पहुंच गया, उसके बाद भाई साहब ने नौकरी करना चालू कर दिया. There is where we met in Bangalore as well.
Biking, anyways. In fact, I was training because here in India you learn biking with your kids. There's no really school that teaches you how to ride a motorcycle. Correct? Yes, there are driving schools, but most of us have learned driving with friends. Correct? Pushing out the car from home, चुपचाप आधा किलोमीटर जाके गाड़ी स्टार्ट करके भाग गए. And कहीं को ठोक ठाक दिया, फिर next जाके sorry.
But incidentally, that's
Correct.
how we've learned.
Yeah.
Even
So
cycling. That's how
cycling
we
also I've learned like this. Cycling किसी की साइकिल लेके भागे थे, कैंची चला रहे थे. Correct.
This is 2 days in a row we're talking about the same.
कैंची, correct, कैंची चला रहे थे. And
कोयला वाला साइकिल होता था, बड़ा वाला.
हाँ, बड़ा Atlas Gold Line.
Yeah.
Atlas Gold Line was the best cycle in India, and it used to compete with some Hero, whatever, something.
Yeah, hero.
So anyway, but I was training to be a rally driver and everything, and obviously everything needs a lot of money, man. Correct. Not that we were, hand to mouth or strapped for cash or I grew up in poverty. Nothing like that. Correct. Perfectly respectable.
Yeah, but it was never that,
Yeah.
कि इतना पैसा इधर
It was a socialist India. The reform, the whole reform and everything started when we'd already kind of slightly grown up and about to hit the ceiling. Like, अरे, तो late हो गए. थोड़ा पहले हो गया होता. Like my kids, yeah, we could have had a little more choices along the way than stumbling along our career. And then calling it
There's
back.
social baggage also. I think at that point of time, there was also guilt associated to wanting too much out of your own life.
No, because I was told, yeah, कि तुम्हारी your business and all is not in your blood. बेटा वो तो blood में होता है. मारवाड़ी करते हैं, गुज्जू करते हैं, सिंधी करते हैं. तुम्हारी blood में थोड़े ना है वो.
These three were what?
I was in fact told by one of my uncles, my dad's elder brother, कि काफी समय बाद पेपर में नाम वाम छपना शुरू हो गया था. तो he said, अच्छा जब आपने तुम he was very happy that my name was in the papers and stuff like that, and he said, सब कुछ तो ठीक है, लेकिन जब अपना टेलरिंग की दुकान खोलोगे तो कोटम राजू नाम का प्रयोग मत करना, because for them that name mattered.
Yeah.
Because the lineage is very illustrious. It's a different matter. It turned out the way I've turned out, not very illustrious and fairly dim. Correct. But yeah, if there have been people in the family, my grandfather in 1996, the government of India released a stamp on his birth centenary, so on and so forth. So how can I soil that kind of an illustrious name? Correct. So, and also private, going into a non-government, non-doctor, non-engineer thing, So, but times have changed.
I think while we were in college, the times were knocking on the door. And by the time, I think few years into job is where times had changed. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember 2008 sitting in Dovetail and in walked in somebody saying that, and people laughed behind him actually. Walked in the founders of Urban Ladder saying that we want to take furniture online.
Hmm.
And they were like, yeah, it's a touch and feel thing. People buy a bed for a lifetime. शादी में मिलती है. Right? दहेज में बिस्तर आता है.
नॉर्थ इंडिया में अभी भी है.
And
हरियाणा, राजस्थान में तो
considerably
अभी
होगा. I
भी
mean, but at that point of time, after they left, and of course, we designed for them, we supplied to them, and all of that. That was business as usual. But the very thought of the fact that somebody questioned status quo was unprecedented. Like, कर रहा है ये कोई.
No, that's, I think, spot on. I think they not struggled with, I think they had the conviction which a lot of India at a cusp of change didn't probably have. Correct? Because I was one of the earlier people to join Myntra. Correct? So at Myntra, again, that whole question of why would someone buy something online? Correct? But what convinced me to, take that punt was Mukesh and his pitch about the numbers and basic analogy. In a store on a high street, you can only physically get X amount of walk-ins. Even if someone were to walk in every minute, you can only get X number of walk-ins. Whereas in an online store, the numbers even back in 2011 were phenomenal, right? So, but yeah, and the same problem with, why would someone buy online, and especially card, and that time the online fraud भी इतने नहीं होते थे, but now the online fraud and everything is there. But even then the credit card usage wasn't much. COD, they initiated COD to say let's at least induce trials. They also started with categories where sizing was standardized globally, footwear, and that too sports footwear, right? And that's what Myntra started with, and then came this whole wave of let's do other brands, and then came this wave of okay, if we're selling other brands, we have the data of what are people liking, what are people buying, can we sell our own and therefore shore up the bottom line. Right. Sorry, we kind of went off on a tangent.
No. We want to go into this itself, but I just wanted to give you a lead up so that what you're sharing right now has a larger context because it does in real life. If you look at you starting with working, you worked at multiple places like
Yeah.
most of us did. At some point of time, I knew we met on MG Road, had a from Munswami, had a coffee or a cigarette or something,
yeah.
and you were at this vanguard of change in your own life in some sense, wherein you were doing well for Arvind. And I think Flying Machine is what you were working for.
Flying Machine, US Polo, Ed Hardy,
Yeah.
You were with that
and Energy, which was my favorite brand, but came and went. Problems because of problems elsewhere with the founders, not with us.
Aeropostal also.
No, Aeropostal was Arrow.
But this was happening, and we remember having this chat over
When I say Arrow, I mean the Arrow team
Yeah.
was running it. Yeah,
that you were doing well, but you kind of wanted more. And this,
I still want more.
of course, I mean, and that's great. I mean, I love the fact that you're saying it because I know for at least myself, reflecting on myself, there was a point of time when I was guilty of saying I want more,
Hmm.
right? And there were very few people. I mean, my dear friend Rahul Bali was the first person. He said, I want this in life. And his father, who's again a veteran defense guy, and Rajan uncle was like, I don't have a problem with you guys wanting everything and wanting it now.
Yeah.
My problem is you guys are reckless. Live a quality life and do whatever you want. These were permissions to me. They were important. So that conversation at a personal level was important to me because while you were telling your story, and probably using me as a bounce board as well, which I don't think so I was just listening to you. Machismo thi.
LB 500.
Uh, sorry, can't dissociate the bike from that event. And you're talking about how you're looking at Myntra. And even the concept of Myntra was kind of new to me. I think they had a kiosk at Forum.
Not sure.
Printing, जो मग के ऊपर printing होती थी वो कौन सा?
Yeah, of course. That's before the pivot. They would customize mugs, T-shirts, and other things.
And my association to Myntra was that. And you were telling me a different story as to how you
Yeah.
were considering this. So that is a lead up to what you were sharing right now. What were the things that were happening in your mind? Because being with Arvind would have made it safe for you, and you had a command in that situation. You were in a good place. They looked at you well. You were
No, I mean, I loved my time at Arvind. In fact, I'm gonna just pause here for a minute and go back a few years. My journey to Arvind, like I said, I've stumbled along. Right, life's not been exactly a plan. Right, so I escaped to Bombay, did my design, whatever, schooling. Next city, craving for change. So Bangalore was, then it was Bangalore. A lovely place, and things had got a little hectic for me in Bombay also. So I wanted to kind of calm down a bit. And so I picked up a job in Bangalore. And that first batch of NIFT, right, the new NIFTs, the first batches we were told very clearly that we're not being trained to be designers. We're not going to be, Nari or Rohit Bal or Valaya or anybody or Tahiliani or whoever else. Correct. We were being, the government, the Ministry of Textiles wanted a workforce to go shore up India's rising export industry. Because we could only seek employment, i.e. placement, with exporters, correct, for our first batch. And literally everybody in the batch was placed with an exporter or a large manufacturer. So I chose Bangalore and worked there for a year, fed up of that completely. It's about a DNA. I have some great mates who've been doing that for 30 years today. They control like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of business today, and they love it. Correct? Their life is phenomenal. It's a DNA thing, right? So it wasn't in my DNA. So I ran back to Delhi, walked right into a buying agency all over again. Correct? And did various jobs there, right? From working as a QC, because the moment I joined that company, the QC team was fired because of some integrity issues. So I was a new kid on the block. Chalo, the 4 दिन का training and then start traveling. So I would take my bullet. That time I had a 350 Machismo again. And I would leave my home in Delhi. That time my parents had retired and like all, we'd been shunted to East Delhi. And from there, I would ride all the way to Udyog Vihar in Gurgaon, then to Faridabad, then back to Narayana, then back to Kundligaon, conducting inspections and everything, and then come back to Okhla, and then go home. Right, so I would cover like some 150 kilometers in a day on a daily basis
with the Delhi and
with the Delhi this
weather.
thing, but whatever Delhi were, and it was hot, no? I mean,
Yeah,
it was,
so
there was no
Hyderabad, we
summer,
also very cold.
and there was no summer holidays, no. They were out of college, out of everything. There's no summer holidays anymore. That was the first realization that I had. Fuck, there are no summer holidays anymore. Correct. That was the first thing of starting to work. Correct. But anyway, so and I hated that life also. I was like, what the? I'm not doing anything. I'm just a cog in the wheel. I'm not doing anything new. Correct. I'm following someone's chart. I'm just saying sahi hai, galat hai. And in the sense, that's all I was doing. I ran back to Bombay again, and really didn't know what I was going to do. Went back to this mentor, teacher, friend, Naren Kumar Ahmed, who a fairly celebrated designer. Anybody? I went back to him, and he's tried to channel me into my creative forces into other things. Said, why don't you go work with Channel V or MTV and do this and do that? Tried my hand, didn't really work. I was also saddled by this whole thought that I must use my design education to do something with fashion. Now that I've picked up this thing, I must do something with it. And to get by, I would paint murals on the wall. Chamia bar, I painted mermaids on the wall. I became great friends with those chamias. Free booze and like great conversations, man. Correct. And Shetty Bhai, the guy who, great mates. Correct. The man shot himself later. Correct. But not because of me. Correct. But correct. Whatever. He had some
Disclaimer.
issues. Correct. He used to run some 7-8 chamia bars there and whatever it is. So whatever. So I did odd jobs. I did a lot of freelancing for a lot of brands. I would never say no to any job. Kids wear, aane do. Embroidery, khakha banane, aane do. Sari ka kuch banane, aane do. Right, denim, aane do. Like everything, and I would sit and do this almost on a daily basis. Correct. And what I realized was I have ideas about every single thing. Like most Indians, I have entitled opinions also. Right. The only thing I needed to do was to make sure if I picked up a job, I deliver. So what I used to do, I would go, I in fact designed for Harley Davidson and Victory motorcycles through an exporter in Mumbai, chaps, jackets, vests, and then patterned them, as in worked with the pattern making team to kind of, so it's all in a day's work. Correct. Talking about kids wear in the morning to some small guy, to shirts with another guy, and then getting out and going somewhere else and doing a whole different ball game. So I realized, and I think over time it developed into an ability to get out of one conversation about a topic into a completely different conversation with a completely different set of people who have a completely different objective, and kind of seamlessly do that. Right. The only thing I realized was I am not great at sticking to execution timelines unless and until I rope somebody in. So, and I had a lot of mates. I'm fairly social as an animal. So a lot of ex-NIFT design students who were also looking for some moonlighting thing to get by. Everybody's underpaid, I think. So they used to look for, so I would get, let's say, 300 kids designs for a brand. So I went and then I had this Harley Davidson thing, and like I said, the sari thing, and a women's ethnic wear, and shirts and denim and t-shirt graphics. Now there are some 8 or 9 to be done in a day, or deliveries almost around the same. Starting from about a week to about a month out. Right. So I had found different friends who had different skills. One guy was great at graphics. So I went and I said, this is the kind of graphics I want. And I sketched out, and I would sit for like half an hour with them, and they would get started. And then I'd go to somebody else who was great with Corel Draw. So while I was okay with Corel Draw, but my speed wasn't great. And this guy was like a Corel Draw god. There was no Illustrator at that time. I'm talking about slightly more vintage times. Corel Draw was the thing.
I still use CorelDRAW, by the way.
So
It's a very flexible
yeah,
software.
CorelDRAW was the thing then. But this guy was like a CorelDRAW god. So if I could sketch what I want, and information has to be conveyed through a tech pack or a sheet, there has to be a flow that I want the eye to go in. I designed that for him, and he would kind of make it. And then I'd go to the guy who would do embroidery. So I'd say, listen, I want, maybe these X kind of motifs, and I'd carry some books over and say, hey, can we trace them and can we expand them and can we do this? And pre-computer days, right? So we would sit and graphic. I mean, this guy didn't have computers, so we would put a graphic, what's that called? The graph paper.
Right.
And then we would expand the 1 cm, 1 by 1 cm graph into a 1 inch by 1 inch graph and replicate that, correct, onto that and before the khakha.
Tracing.
Right, tracing, correct. So I would do that and then go somewhere else. So what this helped me later was at Myntra, what I do, kind of brands I worked with, and also at Arvind, right? So I was working across categories with people. The only thing that I did was simple funda. There was no Shylock or his behavior residual in me. Shylock was his character, in a Shakespearean character, pound of flesh.
Yeah.
Right. So if I am working with you, it's very simple thing, mate. Without me, you can't get this job. Without you, I wouldn't be able to deliver. 50-50.
Right.
Simple.
Yeah.
It's not like because I've got
It's a good
the
handshake.
job, a good job, because I've got the job, मेरे को ज़्यादा मिलना चाहिए. बस आपके बिना काम नहीं होगा. So 50-50 is such an incentive for you. You'll never feel shortchanged.
Yeah.
Correct. My work gets delivered on time and we'll do again. And we did. For about 2 years, I was surviving like that. I didn't have a permanent job. Correct. And I was making whatever I was making, I was happy. Correct. And I was traveling a lot, riding a lot and everything also in the meanwhile, because I would give them work and I'd go away on go away for a ride, come back after a week and say, काम हुआ कि नहीं हुआ बता मेरे को. Correct. So anyway, so I ended up meeting, some folks for Arvind. Like Sanjay Lal Bhai, I think was one of the possibly the most visionary industry leader I've ever shadowed, followed, whatever, met, worked with. And one thing led to the other. I was in Arvind. At that point of time, like to me, it's all cycles. At that point of time, again, this whole working multiple jobs, also running some, organizing parties, organizing whatever. There were lots of other extracurricular activities again. Everything had again become very hectic and I again had to get out of Bangalore or Bombay all over again. Correct? To calm down my life and kind of do one thing rather than doing 1,000 things. And which is when this offer, kind of just popped up saying, Bangalore aake mujhse, come to Bangalore and meet me. Flying Machine ke liye kaam karoge. And I was like, my God, Flying Machine, I've grown up wearing
Back
that.
then it was
and
a big brand.
yeah, grown up wearing that brand. And Arvind anyways was a big name and the corporate name and everything. And to me, to work for Flying Machine was like the biggest thing that could have happened in my life. And before that, I was working with a jeans brand and everything, and I loved that. But to go for the first time in my life, I was asked to come and work for a name. And yeah, so came to Bangalore, met the team. Arvind itself was pivoting. VF was kind of going out on its own, and own brands division was going to become the Arvind brands division, and so on and so forth. Jay Suresh, again, one of the most brilliant minds I've worked with.
This is 2006.
2005, 2006.
When Lee and Wrangler split from
Split, yeah. So that whole team went out and Jay Suresh was brought in. DM, Darshan Mehta was leaving. Alok Dubey was being shifted from the sales, whatever, to, head brands, right? And with that team, essentially. So to me, my journey through Arvind also, that's a reason why I was probably the only designer at Arvind who didn't just do design, but a whole lot of other stuff and didn't just work for one brand, but multiple brands, right? So I started off as a Flying Machine. I was hired for Flying Machine. Started off as that, doing all categories there, but very slowly picked up denim. And I still think I have indigo blood, not royal blue blood, but just indigo blood. I still can't, I live, breathe denim.
But that's a great tagline for you, considering you're an Indian as well. Indigo child
Right.
as an
Right?
idea.
So
Yes.
yeah, flower child, indigo child. But to me, that so I ended up doing a whole lot of other stuff, from organizing the supply chain, denim supply chain, to organizing the mills and that whole system of how do you time what you design and make sure that nobody changes that ki maine, and all that. And then, I was sent to IIM for some marketing course, right, to come back. And maybe, the idea was to transition me into another role, as Jay Suresh put it then, to a non-accessory business head role. They wanted to create this big, large non-fashion, accessory division.
Hey, just a second. Your MBA happened. I know you.
No, MBA. It's not an MBA. It's like I don't want to be one of those guys who wears an IM T-shirt by doing a short term, कुछ में 1-2 महीने का course type. That's not the deal, dude. You gotta earn that, I think. Yeah.
So you did not do an MBA, but I know you did a stint in IIM. This was the one, or you did one later as
No,
well?
This one.
This is one. Perfect. Continue.
This is the one. So so marketing, right? And to me, that was I came back and I realized I can also, tell stories. I can also narrate, build narratives, right? And I came back and I had a chat with the same mentors and people who I admired and whose people I was following and working with. So Jay Suresh, Alok Dubey and I, we were like this team. We would go everywhere together, all new brands. While these guys would go and talk to the brands who were coming to India, I would be the product guy who would kind of go in. Because the idea was to also get licensing, not just import and sell. So anyway, so while I was talking to them about, what I would do next after doing this, is around the same time that somebody introduced Mukesh and I was not very sure. I was not looking for a change. And I did not want to go to the Myntra office which is where they had done the pivot already and they were already hiring from the industry because there were some folks from Reliance who joined. In fact, again, a very close mentor, friend, Ganesh Subramanian, who went on to become the COO of Myntra. He had joined and he interviewed me, and as he was as objective, even if we knew each other, but he had to be sure that he was hiring the right person. And I was on a ride in Uttarakhand where throughout the ride, every day I would have like an hour-long call because he would pick up some topic and we'd start talking. So that went on for like my 15 days of my ride was like where I wanted to kind of, but it was cool because it was very chilled. It was like a conversation like this. Like views have to align. It's not an interview. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
All jobs are two-way streets. You have a right to walk away. Don't ever walk into a job that you shouldn't be desperate ever. Yeah. So anyway, so I ended up joining Myntra because I was so blown by what these guys were doing, how they could understand who was buying what and, respond to that and how they could use technology to automate certain decisions, decentralize authority. So I had to make that choice. I was told it was a career hierarchy. I joined, it was a startup at that time. So they didn't pay me shit, right? I joined for nothing, literally, Myntra. And, but they lived up to their, I grew through the ranks well, and so did what I took home. So that was compensated, but that compensated for my jump. But yeah, I mean,
I don't see your life as even. It is uneven, and I think it is in the unevenness that the story lies, right? And also meandering, right?
no, because everything is connected, right?
Yeah.
My having worked on various things
Gives you that.
Yeah, so having done the spatial design also helped me transform Myntra's office, the early offices of Myntra. They were like engineering offices, man. Desks everywhere. Of course, inside there was nice and colorful, but the reception was just this woman sitting there with nothing. Correct. So we made these stores of brands, and before which we used to do trends. Because the idea was if you come into the Myntra office, you should feel like you are coming to a fashion office. Correct? Because look good was the thing and everything should look good. You should take pride in that, not just on a vanity. It's not a vanity metric.
It's 2015, 14, 15?
No,
Hey,
much,
hey,
much.
Much earlier.
11, 12. 12.
8 में तो Myntra version.
Yeah, so I didn't join them then, right? I joined them after the pivot. Like I said, they'd already started hiring from the industry. A few category managers. They started with the external brands. So the category managers were brought in first, and others from Reliance, from West Side, from wherever else. Correct? And then I was brought in to set up design. And that's where, again, there's a story. Because the whole point of Myntra was they were looking for VP design, right? And because someone obviously had told Mukesh that, private labels will shore up your margins, correct? And private labels are meant to be copies or knockoffs of what is selling well, right? And be placed next to whatever is selling well, so that it can kind of sell and yet at a lower price also deliver more margin to you. Correct. I went and I didn't want to go and do that because I was fed up of constantly bouncing against the glass ceiling that exists above designers in this country. Everywhere else, design is celebrated, designers are celebrated. Here we are glorified backroom boys, correct, and girls, correct, and the others also, whatever, correct. But so I didn't want to do design. So that stint at IIM was my segue into doing something else with my understanding or knowledge of the retail industry as such. But with Myntra, I questioned. I said, listen, unless and until I can create brands, and let's not look at them as labels. Let's look at them as a house of brands, right? Where we can kind of grow them, and if need be, tomorrow hive them off to seek independent valuation, because right now its valuation is undiscoverable because it's linked to the mothership's valuation. Correct. When Ganesh and Mukesh both, I think they saw what this was, because it was then you approach it with a bit of a very just looking to copy, or imitate. You're looking to create, right? And create a jeans brand, create in the same space as a competitor, create competitors rather than copies. Correct. And one was that, and the second was, to me, I was like, unless and until we can create this and I can run it, correct? Because like I said, I was fed up of being the backroom boy. I wanted design to lead, because the basic nature of design, the basic task of design is to solve a problem or to fill a gap or to offer an alternative, correct? And at the end of the design process, you have to have a product, correct, that has to sell. Simple, right? That's the only metric. It's not art. Aapko acha laga, I don't like it. Correct? He thinks it's priceless, I think it's useless. Correct? It's design. It has to sell. That's the only simple metric. Correct? So I was like, listen, we lead it from a design. Of course, analysis and everything else, sales and everything else will have its role to play, but I don't want, at least in the initial 0 to 1 and 1 to 10 journeys, and then the 10 to 100 is growth capital, that separate journey, but 0 to 1 and 1 to 10, at least let it be differentiation, correct? I want that to be why we're creating what we're creating. If someone comes and it's an endless aisle, I'm looking, that time it was desktop scrolling, right? If someone's going through your desktop and endless shirts are being, or jeans are being scrolled, your product has to stand out. And that can't happen if it's led by some, MBA grad or an accounting grad or whatever. Correct? 10 to 100 is great. You need that skill because you need to do that efficiently, distribution, inventory.
It's a different ballgame.
Yeah. But 0 to 1, 1 to 10, you got to understand the problems, put on the design hat, and then kind of do that. So I went back to them and said, okay, why don't we create a house of brands, not one brand? Because they wanted a brand called Myntra. And I was like, listen, there is a problem because you guys are nobodies today. Right? That's what I said to Ganesh. I said, Ganesh, you guys are nobodies today. Nobody knows you, right? And and private brand has a few calling cards: trust, value. At least two of these cards are availability, third calling card. Correct? But at least trust and value. You can't create something more valuable because somebody or the other who's a manufacturer, we're not manufacturers, they will come and undercut you. Correct? Trust you haven't established because nobody knows you. Trust is like, is built over time and you're a mothership. More importantly, if you screw up and something's wrong, your mothership, the main brand that name gets spoiled. So let's create smaller names. We had this whole debate about should we do buy Myntra, should we not do buy Myntra. Early days, no, there was no playbook for us to follow. So Ashu Lavanya, the other co-founder of Myntra I worked with, great guy again. He was like, he used to looking, he again did many roles. When I joined, he was looking at marketing. He was heading marketing and he was like, nahi, buy Myntra hona chahiye. But somebody in the team felt there shouldn't be buy Myntra because it would demean, we should give away the game that we are a private label, And then there was this whole debate: do customers really care about private label? Because private label wasn't really a thing then, you know. So then we decided not to call it private label, but private brands. And my understanding of the market, I said, okay, there are only two axes I can split it. One is the value axis. You pay for what you get, which means quality, price, call it whatever axis you want, and fashion quotient, which is linked to your do things. We have three of us wearing black here. Core colors, core t-shirts, they will never go out of style. Correct. This, for example, will just remain forever. Correct. Fit might change with times. That would change, maybe the color of the tipping or the embroidery might change. Yours is going to remain mostly the same forever. Right? Some details go chauda hona, patla hona, whatever, right? Placket might be becoming longer. And other than that, it remains the same.
Right.
Whereas some brands they require change and something new every season or every month or every, with enough frequency. Like graphic t-shirts, for example. So graphic t-shirts were placed on that. If the axis is like this, they were placed here,
Right.
right? They
Right.
said we need few t-shirts, new new talking points every now and then. Then there are other brands that are here. They're classic. They stay true. They don't change. People like the great white arrow shirt. It doesn't change. Correct? Cook and Keech, on the other hand, will need new graphics. So I created that time there were no names. So I just put M1, M2, M3, M4 as names and I presented it. The beauty of that working with this was a refreshing change from Arvind, where it was slightly more legacy systems, legacy mindsets, correct? Obviously, they were forging new paths. Like I said, I work with great minds, and I'll drop those names again. Alok and Suresh, I think they've shaped my thinking a lot, correct? I pause sometimes and think, what would they have done in this situation, right? But they're not, but like everybody's shade of gray. They're not black or white. Not everything they did was a hit, right? They had some misses. So I took those misses also and said, okay, this is nothing that I wouldn't want to do. Correct? But at Myntra, they were more open to new ideas. So what in my hiring happened was, from being offered a VP's role, design role, when I kept insisting, I'm not going to join unless you allow me to create a brand and not just come and design, unless you allow me to create this house of brands and run this, I'm not going to come and join. They said, all right. Ganesh, I remember that call. I was sitting on top of above Chopta, Tunganath Mandir in Kuma Hill, Garhwal, sorry. I was sitting in Garhwal, I trekked up, and Ganesh called at some network. Ganesh called and he's like, listen, we've decided to offer you the role. It won't be AVP design. It won't be VP design. It'll be AVP. You come and you join. Salaries also and everything also will take a cut. Correct? You come and you join us. We'll work on this thing with you. We'll have to work on this with you because this time like the conversations have been going on for about 6 or 7 months by then. You come and join us. We'll shape this thing together and we'll see how this is going. And then we'll kind of, we'll have to formalize your role because ESOPs are linked to that. But, we can't offer what we were offering earlier because while we love your conviction, your lack of experience, because I didn't come from a business role. I had nothing to show that I'd scaled a business from here to here. Even if I could talk about supply chain organization and my OTIF numbers, on time in full numbers, even for a designer to talk about OTIF, because I was controlling my supply chain at Arvind. Unlike other designers who would do a handover, I would never hand it over. Store sell-throughs, everything was, for denim at least, was mine, just for that category. He decided to offer me a lesser role. And I was sure I wanted to do this because what I saw in those two gentlemen, Ganesh Subramanian and Mukesh Bansal, was like the future, right? So that's the start of Myntra, correct? So much so that if you look at Roadster's Arquette, which is the back pocket, it's an M. It's an M with a wing. I hand sketched it. Then I used Corel Draw.
Ajbi.
No. The back pocket logo of Roadster, correct, is an M stylized with wings, correct? Because Roadster was meant to be my own lifestyle, because Roadster was the first brand that I launched because it was nothing but my wardrobe replicated, right?
No, Roadster was your baby. It was very you.
Dude, there was no brand, there was no team. I was a designer, QC, merchandiser, everything. Correct. So on my bullet, I would land up at the vendor's place. I would, and even design. I wouldn't. I couldn't. I'm slightly different from other designers. I couldn't visually design. I had to break down at least products. I had to break down in components, and the best way to break down components and see them in front of you is a spreadsheet. So an Excel spreadsheet. So every single thing is made up of parts and colors and attributes, as you can call them. So I'd line up all the attributes, and that's my first line of some 300, 400 articles that I designed for Roadster. Everything was on spreadsheet, and I would go give it to the merchandising team, sit with them, and they would assemble it. Kind of this fabric, this thread, this, whatever happens. This a graphic would be designed, and I would kind of give this. But coming back to the logo, we didn't have a name for the brand. Michael Foley gave us Roadster later, correct? And I tuned it to the Roadster Life Collate. I'll come to that. But this M, because we had to take the product to the market. Naam aata rahega, naam we'll put on the label and fix it after the product is ready also. Correct? But we couldn't do embroidery later. So I just created an M because Roadster was M1. Correct? What went on to become HRX was M7. Right? A combination of M7 and M8 actually was Roadster. Was HRX. Correct?
Right.
M4 was Cook and Keech. Right. What went on to become Cook and Keech. W1, brilliant woman again, Chandrima, she came on board, merchandising head. W1 went on to become Dressberry. W2 went on to become, because women's only brand also were needed, right? Because you can have pink it and shrink it for most of the unisex brands, but women's brands, there are certain categories where ethnic wear and dresses, you can't have a men's equivalent.
Right.
You can't, whatever. So we had W1, W2, M1, M2. That became the thing.
We spoke about two things. I think that's interesting. One is, I think anybody will relate to what you just said, that in the Indian context, all designers come up to this glass ceiling and then they can't break open.
Yeah.
Right. And your choice of saying that, hey, listen, I do not want to be here, and making a move, I think that's interesting as a story. And it doesn't need to be a template, but yes, it's a way forward. That's one way of moving on from there, or breaking the glass ceiling for that matter. That I thought was something very relatable by most of us. Like even my life, I mean, at some point of time, I was like, isse aage kya? And there weren't any options. I could, in some sense, travel horizontally at incremental growth.
Yeah.
But that is it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one aspect of it. The other thing, I think, you said multiple things that are interesting, but the one that sticks on at this point of time is how things we have done in the past adds up. And it's almost like Steve Jobs' saying, right? You connect the dots. So this is something that I wanted to categorically make a point of, because one of the things that I am facing with Gen Zs per se, Gen Zs are far smarter than us. And they are clearer. They are not winging much in life.
No.
Right? But where I feel that we were probably better off in some sense, is that we didn't have a template. We got to figure it out.
There was more discovery in that age.
Yeah, there was more discovery in that. Here, they have a template and they're following it rigorously.
There's more research here.
Yeah.
There's more discovery then. There's more research here because lots of things have been done. No new music genre is being introduced or invented. No new style of architecture is being invented. Correct. No new style of clothing is being invented. Correct. So I think that age of discovery has stopped. Age of research, refurbishment, and redoing things with newer, better tooling and better, that thing is something that's going on right now.
Remix songs.
Remix.
Yeah, remix is one way of looking at it, right? And in fact, it also puts us into the bracket of two extremes in the same scale. And we keep on revisiting this. One is preserving. That's almost a static entity. You preserve something that has value for you, but possibility of taking that forward,
Hmm.
that aspect is limited. So it's static from that point of view. Whereas exploration or creative process is chaotic, right? It is at a place fraught with error. And a person who is doing that kind of first signs up for the fact that गलतियां होंगी, हाथ पैर टूटेंगे, but मेरे को ये figure out करना है. They're like two ends of the scale. This you don't need to preserve. You're figuring out. You're discovering.
Yeah.
Right. So while you're saying this, I also see it in that scale that we have moved on from discovery. We were probably the ones who were discovering and making errors, and the rewards were also that, right? Like the rewards were ecstatic, meteoric rises. We saw valuations go off the roof. That was in that chaos. Whereas when you're preserving something, it's fairly templatized. You've already made choices. You had choices right in the onset of things. You had to pick one in some sense, loosely speaking.
Yeah.
And this conversation can be put on that framework as well,
Right.
incidentally. You were speaking about design. Here you just start wearing different hats. And of course, the good thing is that you're connecting the dots from the back end of story. कि यार मैं वो करता था, मेरी ये limitation थी, but since I could see a spreadsheet, it probably became the template for scaling.
Yeah.
Right? So somebody could take that template and replicate it into 1,000 and
Yeah.
1 million.
I call it hard coding.
Yeah.
You hard code the language to a degree where what you created won't change even if you leave. Roadster will not change. Roadster is still doing the same thing Roadster did when I kicked off Roadster. Correct? It was hard coded into its DNA, right? From the and product is just an outcome of a whole thought and series of chain of thoughts, right?
There's a different route that I want to take this conversation to. We know how you
Glass
reached here.
ceiling.
You've broken the glass ceiling, of course. I would like to inquire into this whole process of breaking the glass ceiling. You made a few choices, right?
Yeah.
At this point of time, how does one, and what are the avenues for breaking the glass ceiling? Because you broke the glass ceiling a decade and a half ago.
Start saying no. Start saying no. Start saying enough. Because to me, so I've usually signed off when I'm on top and I'm saying abhi ho gaya hai. Like and recognize your own skill sets. I am not a growth stage guy. I can't make a brand or its team more efficient. What I can do is put a great team together in the beginning. They will work for you 24 hours. At Myntra, when I brought this team together, right, there were a bunch of designers and one category manager who'd come from a great guy who'd come from Reliance. The others were designers whose house had gone to convince ki yaar Myntra come work with me. And they're like, dude, career, what Myntra. I said, no, trust me, come and work for me. Right? Also, we are all coming from extremely hierarchical organizations where sir or boss was the, order of the day. Correct? How you addressed people. You never took first name. Correct? So for, this team of people, for the first 23 days of kicking off the private brand journey, past I got the sign off from Mukesh and Ganesh on the plan, right? The House of Brands plan, correct? The launch, 23 days, correct? No holidays, no break. We would live, breathe, shit, sleep, shampoo in the office, correct? And it's not like we didn't have life, man, correct? We would still do rides, we'd still have like a late nighter, all nighter, groggy the next day, crawling into office at 12 or 1 in the afternoon. But that thing would start again, correct? And then to launch the brands, right, we had to first convince the internal audience, which was very skeptical. They were all engineers and MBA grads from the best schools of the world. And we were this desi designer category, no fancy MBA, no fancy engineering degree. Correct. All these guys, hired from the Bay Area and whatever other big, kind of big colleges. We had to introduce to them what the brand was. And so for us, there was no point of doing any presentations to them because that's a world they came from them. So we made a film. So on Vimeo, we sat, and I think over 4 nights, whatever I supplied the accompanying lubricants for my team to stay up and build this video, about a 7.5 minute long video, of which first 2.5 minutes is just about the thought behind why we're doing what we're doing. It had nothing to do with the brand, with the brands, but everything to do with them, because it was a thought. Because that thought, 2.5 minutes of video. So anyway, so we sat on Vimeo. We downloaded a whole lot of brand videos, music videos, marketing campaigns, and everything, because we had to create a storyboard, essentially, right? A mood board. And the best way to present it was audiovisual. So we sat, and we had no money. So because it was too wild an idea to go and ask again, these guys to can I do this? That's not how Myntra operated anyways. It was very free. You choose what you do and you deliver. So we launched private brands internally at an all hands with this 7.5 minute film. And that thought was all about I am now. Because that I am now was also this great designer, friend of mine, who created a brand called Mast and Harbor. It still runs on Myntra. He wrote a poem, right? And we just converted that poem into a film and found music to go with it. We couldn't show it anywhere else because it was all unpaid, uncopyrighted, downloaded, edited videos. We could show it internally, right? That I am, but my validation, the biggest validation that happened for us as a team was Shantanu's thought on I am now, Shantanu Biswas, right, was validated by Pepsi's campaign when they signed up Ranbir Kapoor, correct? And their campaign was, oh yes, Abhi. At the end of the day, it was all about, theirs was obviously a multi-million-dollar research-backed thing, customer clinics and everything. Ours was just observations, correct? Instant gratification. Youth is the one changing everything. They are the ones making all the choices, driving change, whether it was the Arab Revolution, the Jasmine, the Arab Spring, and the Jasmine Revolution in Cairo and wherever else, or the 1% revolution in US, right? All this was being driven by the youth, and they all wanted instant gratification, correct? And we are cutting out the weak link, right? We're going directly to the consumer. So we kind of wrote a poem about it, stitched this beautiful film together, and we presented it. So even ideas like this, which were wild, were promoted, by the by the people who led Myntra, right?
Okay, you spoke about how you are now elaborating on what I was going to say as my second point, which is know where your skills lie.
Know where you can stop.
Yeah. And what you had already spoken about earlier was that you are a 1 to 10 guy. You are not a 10 to 100 guy.
Yeah, 0 to 1 and 1 to 10.
Yeah, 0 to 1 and 1 to 10.
Because then you find the right team to, lead it, scale it, correct? Like another great engineering mind. So I've had this fortune of working with some of the best minds in the industry. Shamik Sharma, correct? He is currently with Atlassian, correct? He was a CTO of Myntra, right? He was hired as a CTO of Myntra after I came aboard. He says this, all startups have various journeys, correct? You want to do the new, but you can't keep doing the new because then you can't scale it, correct? So you got to find that one thing that is great and then find ways to doing it more efficiently, getting it to more people, reducing, the costs on that, constantly improving the quality of that at the same time, right? That's not my skill, correct? But 0 to 1 and 1 to 10, the thing is, you got to understand, if you want to put out a great product, having a great CAD or a design or, that's not it. Having all the information, and handing it over to a merchandising team, and who then subsequently hands it over to a sourcing team, that's not it. The ownership has to be through. But the systemic design of most organizations in India is not that. They want you to take ownership of sell-throughs without actually giving you the ownership of taking all the calls till the product hits the store. Correct. That's the problem I faced in Arvind, early days of Arvind as a designer, because it was legacy. Till my bosses, right, both Suresh and Alok, allowed me to push that, allowed me to call mills and tell me, boss, simple, so I'll give you a simple thing. In denim, all the fabrics are called sort. They're sort numbers, right? So I'll get a sort number. Arvind will come in or Raymond will come in, whoever will come and tell me, okay, these are the sort numbers you can design with. I'll choose what I like, what fits my cost, what fits my look. I'll design. Now, and I showcase it at the road shows and get my bookings and everything. But there'll be a product manager who will come along, and let's say product X has got whatever, it has to go into production because it was promised in the first drop, in a certain fabric. Correct. Now he'll come and say, "Acha yaar, isme na, the fabric is not available." So now he'll change the fabric to another fabric that is similar. It changes the product completely. Completely. If I were to make that t-shirt in this fabric, it will change the t-shirt completely. Right? And so I used to get really fried. And then, Suresh would call me from a store, and I was in a fucking speed dial. So he would call me like, "Oh, Tom, fucking giving it to me." That's not the product I designed. I designed something else. So then I went back to them with the product saying, I'm going to take ownership. I will call the mills. I need to know when is what coming off the loom. My design will happen per that. So July mein jo maal utar raha hai, my September drops, I know I'll have that 2 months to buy that fabric in bulk and deliver. I'll design like that. Now I'll go to certain factories. Certain factories had certain machines. Certain factories didn't have certain machines. Sourcing team have their own, they don't want you to talk to factories directly, right? They feel they're being undermined. It's these small mind problems. Correct. They're protecting their jobs. It's not about work. They're protecting their jobs, right? So, and I wanted full access to not just the factory, but to the owner and to their own plans. What plan, and no factory still, right? They're always thinking of what next machine to bring in, what to do next. If that can align with my own growth plan, so I would go try and talk to them, talk top to top, correct? And at some point or the other, that paid off, because to me, I started understanding how these businesses work. What's their cash flow? And I realized for the first time in life that cash flow was more important to them than getting large chunks of money. Correct. The whole nature of industry was working on credit cycles. Correct. So then I understood that. Right. So that's why, to me, taking over the supply chain 0 to 1, you don't design the product. You first understand. You go back to the supply chain and say, okay, where can I make this? There will be mistakes. I'll make once, twice. The products are going to be shite. They're going to land in the office and everybody's going to be like, "Ooh, we told you this is not right." Right? People who don't understand product or how products are made, who always bought from brands. Correct. And because for them, I've placed an order and it'll come when the brand has told me to come. They have no idea about what it's taken to actually get this product made, however simple it looks. So you design that. Then you design the finance systems. Correct. You design that to suit your
And all of this
intake.
is 0 to 1.
0 to 1 and 1 to 10. There is a certain kind of a team that you hire, more multi-team that can do everything. Like I said, I hired designers who could edit videos, who could sit in the factory, correct, who knew how pattern is made and who knew what seems to be made to reduce costs, who knew something called group, the time taken on the machine, GSD, GSD, right? So about understanding what product takes how much time to be made, and therefore, what should it cost, consumption.
Hold. What we had spoken earlier was the 0 to 1 and 1 to 10, and to be able to identify where you are as a creative person, even if you're breaking the glass ceiling.
Yeah.
But you know your skill sets,
Yeah.
right? This is one area. What you are telling me right now is 0 to 1 as a journey is more two things. The first part you illustrated was, hey, the 0 to 1 guy is the guy who creates product, brand, range, which all of these collaterals that get introduced into the market as a new entity, which is aspirational or there is no future. Scaling की बात आएगी ही नहीं. वो vision जब तक नहीं होएगा कि भैया, this is what it is. This is the idea that Roadster it, and Roadster is still not there. You're just giving birth to the idea, right? It's conception, right? That is 0 to 1. And to be able to create that conception, you are playing at multiple levels. You're playing with finance, you're playing with limited budget.
Everything.
Everything is against you in some sense, right? That this, there is where you thrive. That's what you realized, right? And that's, so what I hear from you in your illustrations, and I'm not trying to trivialize it or nullify everything that you've done, but to be able to dumb it down for myself to soak it in as well, so that I can throw out a word. कि यार गौतम का podcast सुनियो. He talks about these things. He's talking about 0 to 1 is the place that you own the vision. 0 to 1 is a place that you'll need to take on anything, whether you know it or not, as your own ownership.
Yeah.
So own the vision, own the outcome, right? Because there is where the proof of the vision is,
Correct.
right? The second thing is, and in these two, between these two dots, you will need to wear multiple hats. And typically what you're working with is everything being against you. You are constantly cutting through systems and probably even red tapeism that in whatever way exists.
So it helped. Myntra, for example, they were open to a lot of ideas. Correct? There's a great team. I think one brilliant thing was, like I said, we were just talking about community sometime back. It's not buildings that you're moving into. It's a community that you move into, right? So they were open to ideas. They were open to at least listening to you. They would question, and those questions were pointed, right? They were not questioning you. They were raising questions,
Right.
correct? And what that would do is sharpen your own narrative, sharpen your own, why would you want a certain thing? Because you had to now convince people, correct? So now 0 to 1 is, yes, you're finding out, you're organizing, putting in the blocks together. 1 to 10 is you're entering a crowded marketplace and you're now trying to differentiate and be discoverable in a sea of Me Too brands, in a sea of lookalike brands. You're trying to be discovered with least friction, with least noise, i.e., with least marketing. Correct. So yeah, these two stages to me are potentially, or not potentially, possibly, and I still stick to it. Right? But at a certain point of time, it's about finding distribution, but if your supply chain is not in place, if your other parts not in place, I don't think your brand is going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah. Or even if it goes somewhere, it'll be a very different brand from what you started with what you started, but with the same badge. That's all. It's a very different.
I will actually pass on something that you've been saying for a while, and it's just in undertones at this point of time to Rajesh. He's talking about a very Indian context that could well have been yours and mine. Part of it is mine, actually. So he could well have been speaking on my behalf. Do you want to inquire into this Indianness of things, which has got its limitations?
I want to.
Right? There are two things. One is the limitations he's spoken about, and he himself is an example of how he's broke these. Ye limitation tha, bypassed, broke, bulldozed, whatever. That is his life as one example. Not a template, but as an example. Now, in this context, there would be possibilities as well. It will be...
Yeah. So, but before we get there, just a few quick questions. One is from a design perspective or from a creative person perspective. You started off from college, moved out of NIFT, worked, and then reached wherever you have reached today. Where does the money come in? And how does that come in for a designer? Or just to make it a little more simpler, whatever you did, it was one after the other, tasks, multiple things. Does every designer need to go through that phase?
I'm not sure, because look, today the avenues to find work, how easy it is to start up. It might be difficult to scale it, build it, but you can initiate a new idea. You can take your idea to the market, use Shopify tools of the trade are available to you, free versions are available to you. For you to take your idea to the market, it's totally available. Also, we're now living in an age where ESOPs and other things are, equity. Right? We grew up in a world where we had salaries, correct, and pensions, correct. Yeah, what was it called? PF.
PS.
Correct.
Provident Fund.
Yeah,
Yes, I
you're right. You're right. But today, I don't care about PF. It's going to be a piddly little thing. It's the equity that I'm keen on, because that equity will grow way more than a PF can ever grow. Correct. So it's about negotiating that. It's about finding out what's a good balance. I had my needs today to be met, so I need to work in a certain kind of a job. I need to do a certain kind of a role to get certain kind of a money. However, how much can I trade off? Like I took that trade off with Myntra, right? I actually went down in my earnings, right? I took the same trade off with my move from Mumbai to Bengaluru also. I was earning more in Mumbai just before I moved to Bengaluru. But the whole point was it was a new thing. I'd never worked in a corporate, never worked for a large brand. A completely new thing for me. First year was a bit of a struggle. Also, the working hours, the office culture, certain things you could say, certain things you couldn't say. I was not a master of my own time. I couldn't come and go as I please in whatever state of mind I was in and whatever level of higher state of consciousness I might have been operating in. In Mumbai, I couldn't operate that here. Correct? I had to be sane, sober, and on the desk at whatever certain time of the day. Right? So every time it's been a bit of a this, and then it's been this, then it's been this, and then it's been. So you got to be able to choose if you're not choose. You got to learn to know if you're stuck and not going anywhere, and you need to force a change. Correct. That means you need to reduce your other variables, dependencies. What's that called? Debts, maybe. Correct. We all
Wait. Are you giving a template to evaluate risk?
not evaluate risk, man. I'm just saying I'm starting a store in Good Earth, for example. And I've worked well in partnerships always. So this guy who's joining me, he's a creative guy. He works in a corporate. I can't pay him anything close to what he's getting. He's gonna join me, right? For whatever, just to get his sustenance going. I can afford his sustenance. I'm giving him his sustenance. He will join us, and the onus is on him to take it, right? Increase his earnings from here. Whereas I'm fine if he wants to moonlight and do certain other things in non-conflicting categories for other designers where he's still, other brands where he's still freelancing, and I'm fine with it, man. As long as I'm not coming from the school of thought, you working with me, I own you, right? And therefore, you can't go work anywhere else. That's bullshit. Because to me, I'm not using that mind, because maybe he'll get other ideas, and my Harley Davidson stint, designing stuff for that exporter and whatever products, and understanding how leather jackets are pattern made and what kind of surface ornamentation I can do and what are different kind of leathers and how do they behave. That's helped me while I was creating Roadster. Roadster, right? I learned, what's an action back jacket. Action back jacket is when you reach out to ride, this has to expand. So the jackets have that, and leather can't really stretch. So they create this gusset which is folded in, and that's kind of gets on. And that's such a cool detail. Function becomes form, correct? So to me, again, remember in the beginning I spoke about design and details. To me, wherever function and form can come together, right? It's and the both in equal weightage. That's the best possible design, and that's always gone on to become an iconic product. Right? We launched HRX with this one product. Right? I mean, there are many products, but this one product, this gray Henley T-shirt. It was summer. We were told don't launch full sleeves in India in summer. We launched a gray melange, full sleeve, 180 GSM, which is a T-shirt material, Henley, but not with the classic placket with a fat placket with them 2 button thing. That's legacy mindset. This long 3-4 button, 4-5 button actually, patla, 3/4 inch placket, which Hritik's wearing, and he is the Greek god of the Indian industry, right? He made it look so good. All I had to do was spray some water to make it look like he sweated just before it was a shoot after a workout kind of a look we gave. We couldn't make enough of that product, right? Because the way as a post-workout throwover, most people would wear something, in India it's too hot to wear, and I've seen people, boiling in a heat, but they come out of a gym and whatever else, and they've put on this heavy jersey thing, which is, you just need to layer up to make sure that you don't lose body heat, that fast. You don't need to retain body heat, right? And that also looked good because it was casual enough to be worn with jeans and shorts and everything. So it just kind of just blended really well, right? So
The other question is, you worked in the physical space, done everything from analog systems to digital, and then from a physical store to a digital store, and back to a physical store, and what today we call as a phygital space, where you have a physical store as well as a digital presence. What's your take on that in terms of, the entire transformation? It's always like history repeats itself. We do something, come back, do something again, then come back. And with AI coming in, what kind of changes do you see, and how do you see it evolve over the next couple of years, maybe?
lovely. So incidentally, again, a slightly longish answer to your question, but I think it's 2 points. Correct. One is more about the transition of the space where someone can experience a brand, whether it was physical only to online only to now an omni kind of a thing. One is that. And the second is AI and its influence on everything as it's evolving today, right? So again, a narrative story, right? I'll do AI first, right? I'm enamored by AI. I have to learn it. I have to learn how to interact with the agents and how it's working and how it's been trained and everything. Correct. I've been a part of a very early advent or use of AI, not in its current highly evolved form, but again, having worked with one of the greatest minds, I think, in Indian retail, Ganesh Subramanian, very early on when it was still called computer vision, correct? Before machine learning became a thing, correct? And then subsequently AI became like the byword, right? So we, at Myntra again, we did this whole brand called Moda Rapido, which just means fast fashion, right? It was a working title. We wanted to see whether we could create things in real time, right? Ganesh's ask was 18 days. I could do it in 34 days. If I like something, or let's say if the computer predicts this is what is selling, we had enough data, right? If something's selling really well and is continuing to trend up, and predictions are it will continue to go up. But when I say something, it's not one product, it's the certain attributes are going up. Can I use those attributes to create something physically? Correct? So I've been dabbling in this since about over 10, 11 years today. 11 years or more, 2013, 12 years now. Correct? We started with t-shirts, just the nature of graphics, color, round neck t-shirts. We kept attributes thing and said, okay, if these kind of graphics are selling more, these kind of fits are selling more. I had to have the supply chain ready to quickly engineer it, bring it back, sell it. Correct? I had to have my finance systems in place to allow me to take only the first 20, 30 products and not legacy PO systems where if I had 432 pieces on my PO, the typical warehouses wouldn't invert till I get exact number of PO mismatch, entry would be stopped. I wanted 43 pieces to be come in, sold based on the rate of sale. Is it selling or not? We could go back and get the rest of them in, right? Quickly. So coming from all those times when, everything was very digital yet analog decision making, we're operating in a digital world with analog decision making capabilities. To not be, i.e., we had not automated decision making then, correct? We had just doing decentralized decision making, correct? To today, when I'm working on my next startup that we're working with, again with some neighbors and mates and riders I work and live with here in Gujarat, Malhar. Everythingmotorcycling.com, right? And everythingmoto.com, which is like the idea is to build world's largest marketplace of moto experiences, correct? And at some point also go on to do what we did with fashion and Myntra, or what Zomato did to food, or what Nykaa did to beauty, as an organized, the unorganized, right? Now, how are we doing it? There was a different time when Myntra was built. It needed a lot of engineers. It needed a lot of, yes, the founders were very, very far-sighted. I have a feeling they had a crystal ball somewhere hidden, because they saw things coming before we did, ever. Correct? Yeah, AI. They had a lot of data scientists that they could work with, right? Who were building the early machine learning systems in India, training the algorithms, correct, to suggest buying patterns, how much to buy, when to buy, how to price it dynamically, correct, so on and so forth. Right? These are very, very early days. Mistakes were being made, and all I had to do was make sure that I was a bridge between the supply chain and those minds, and I had to sit with them and understand how they function, give them what they needed, tell them I want this research, this data, and those guys, data scientists. I remember this guy called Devashish, brilliant mind again. He'd gone ahead and did a whole lot of other, data mining for us. Those days versus how we're building what we're building today. Correct? We don't have those kind of engineers. We don't have those kind of codes being written. We don't have those kind of, man hours being sweated out. 4 of us, right? 8 of us actually, correct? 4 founders and 4 team members. Everything is helped by AI. In fact, the founder of Myntra, Mukesh, has moved on to create Nurex, correct? You should look at Nurex. We're integrating Nurex into our, workflows and creations, and understanding how we could recreate a Myntra for the motorcycling world, right? How come, and the nature of browsing is changing. The way browsing is done today is going to be dead in a few years, correct? And there are already, I'm not saying this, nor am I predicting this, it's already out there. LinkedIn is full of people, who have way more credibility than I have, doing videos and talks on this, correct? How the browsing will change. It's not going to be, sitting in, so we're designing for that. I mean, I can't give a lot of detail away. All I can say is we're embedded in it. And since I come from the non-intelligent side of things, which is the non-engineering,
Let's call it the
tech
creative side of things.
I'd say the non-intelligent also, because I think there's a lot of intelligence that's built into this, right? There, but I can come with conviction. I can put the asks in a similar manner as to I used to put in front of the AI team, or not AI team, the ML team as we used to call them, or the data sciences team at Myntra. I can put similar asks on this side of people. Like our CTO himself is like this complete wizard, right? Who is building these sandboxed things where we are questioning how riders browse, research, interact, find what they wear, find what they find a moto experience, whether it is festivals, moto accommodations, tours, schools, everything, in the middle, races, experiences, everything in the middle, right? I'm also learning along with them. I'm bringing what I have done, right? I've been riding for about 35, 40 years today. Correct? 35 years, not 40. 35 years today. Um, I've been in the industry for about 30 years, odd today, right? Uh, Literally working in some form or the other. So I'm bringing that. I'm bringing consumer insights. I'm bringing an overall ability to observe the way the world is moving. Obviously, these are hunches, but they're corroborated by data because I'm working with extremely intelligent people, right? The other founders are again people who run businesses, right? Who create these beautiful, magical things for kids as well as some motorcycle companies. Correct?
So if I read you right, you're essentially saying the second part to his question, AI is both an ally and a tool for you.
Yeah.
And in some sense, you already have.
But it stops there.
Yeah.
It stops there because I don't want AI to dumb me down. I know AI will also, they're tuned to also make you just look for all algorithms. And I want to also do my own research. I can't just do an AI research and, then that's limiting my, I
You
need
don't
to
want
do
AI
my
to be a
own.
crutch ever.
It's a crutch for sure.
It is, or is it a
No, it's okay. Difference in
Yeah.
tool and crutch. I'll take that back.
Yeah.
It's a tool.
then it's
I
a dumb
don't
and
want
dumb.
it to, become
take
a
away
crutch.
your ability to do what you do.
Yeah, because initially when we started understanding the numbers of the industry in India, we're like, oh my God, how come nobody's seen the elephant in the room? This is massive. Then we did our own research. We made a few calls, spoke to a few people, right? The numbers were nowhere close to what AI had thrown up because AI had just regurgitated all the numbers in some form or the other. Correct? Numbers are far smaller, and that's why there's still meat. There's still meat on the table to be taken, right? But it's not a freezer full of. It's not a whole cold storage on offer.
So
Right.
basically, artificial intelligence with human intelligence has to be utilized.
I think it's a tool. Like I said, I don't need 60 engineers. 20 data scientists, 20 UI guys, kind of UI UX guys doing stuff. Right? We're all supported by a big ass IT team. ITBT, the whole business technology team, right? Also, who's then supported by this whole, the business analysis and business insights team. I don't need that, right? Nurex, what Mukesh is doing is going to solve for a lot of that. What Ganesh is building, Stylumia, right? What came out of what we started doing in Mintra, correct? He left Mintra and then he built Stylumia. And I'm dropping this because you must see it. It's one of the most brilliant things because you can predictive insight, predictive analysis. Because how much and how and when are real problems which will lead to waste generation and over ordering and wrong ordering and everything. Right? That's also some sort of intelligence. That's also some sort of AI, if I may say this,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
But what we're doing is 2.0 now. Clearly 2.0 because we're living the world 2.0, right? And both those gentlemen that I've named are also doing in their own new gigs, right? The 2.0 of what they did at Mintra, at wherever else, correct? So to me, I'm integrating that into how we work, right? We'll, in about a few months from now, we'll be live. I think you guys told me that it'll take about, you told me about 2-3 months for this to edit and come live. So that's why I'm kind of being candid about it so that it'll be about the same time we would have also launched. So I have no problem with the cat's out of the bag.
Right.
So the cat will only get out of the bag is going to
Sure.
get sealed.
I mean, even if you have a deadline, just throw us the deadline. We'll work around
Two
that.
more quick things I just want to touch upon. I mean, actually know your side of it. You mentioned about the kind of people and the kind of engineers, designers, creative people who used to be there, say 10 years back versus Gen Z today?
I wouldn't go anywhere close to putting my foot in my mouth. Gen Z is way smarter than we are, dude. Right? Because their inputs are extremely intelligent. Correct. We were not, our generation wasn't hunter gatherers. Gen Z is entitled. Correct. They're entitled. Correct. They know it's a two-way street. They know they have options. Correct. We didn't have options. Science padega bachcha mera. IIT jayega bachcha mera. Correct. They're not coming in that, right? Gap year was like a, you're gonna fall behind. My parents' generation, they all have two birthdays, one real and one, on paper.
Yes.
Fortunately, our generation at least has one birthday. Correct. Most of it, it's a funny thing how things change in the generation, right? I wouldn't say my CTO is a Gen Z. One or two of my co-founders are Gen Zs, correct? Or they are that, I think, that twilight zone between Gen Z and millennial people, all right? But, seriously, correct? Because Gen Zs are damn smart. They know what they want, right? They know what they want. Unfortunately, knowing what they want is also a limitation. I didn't know what I wanted, mate. I landed up in Bombay because Delhi se bhagna tha. Landed up in Bangalore because Bombay se bhagna tha. Correct. Got bored with everything. Roamed around India on a motorcycle for 2.5 months with now who's my wife and who then I was just kind of courting. Correct. And we landed up wherever we are. So I'm not saying it's all accidental, but life has a plan, and somewhere or the other, we're all made up of our sum of parts, right? So we're all experiences. Experiences make it the man, right? So to me, it's not about more smart or less smart. It's like something at my kids' school, someone said, and they go to a local community school. Rather than blocking AI, let's learn how to work with it. We can't wish it away anymore. It's here. But you need to understand what you can and what you cannot take at face value. You need to know how you can create a whole billion lines of code without creating that, without doing anything, but create because you've given the right prompt. And it's like, I'm amazed by some of the stuff we're putting out. We're just kind of holding back because we lack of funds, classic startup story, right? But in about 2 months when we're live, I am looking at that camera, I can say this, right, with complete pride and conviction. I don't know which other, there are two cameras there, correct? That is going to be completely different to anything ever as anybody has ever seen. We're doing a 1.0 of putting out a website and doing it on a website just to test acceptance before we pour money into, custom dev, and a whole lot of other stuff, right? So we're doing it the WordPress Shopify way, right? To get to PMF and kind of understand whether it is before PMF,
viable.
before PMF, MVP, correct? But PMF and beyond in one go with the app that we're going to be putting out, right, in some time. And that wouldn't have been possible with the strength of the team, with the cost that we're spending, with the money we're spending and what it's costing us just 10 years back. So AI has also changed that. As long as you have at least somebody in the team who knows how to. Fortunately, I have, Karthik and Aryan who understand how that works,
So what I hear from him again is the fact that part of it is what he's repeating, which is the fact that it's an ally. You can't really shun it away anyway.
Yeah.
It's not a parallel.
You have to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Plus, we see a very exciting future happening. Maybe it's a way of looking at things. If we can either,
Same as with Gen
brood
Z.
over
I
it
mean, you
and
can't
say-
really take Gen Z out of the equation. They are the ones who are actually pulling it out on our behalf at this point of time. We really can't do what they are doing. So, and
We're also saddled by baggage and saddled by legacy. However much I might say, I've broken the glass ceiling, I've done this, I've shattered this, I've done different things, I've, been a fund manager, I've done this, I've done that. Dude, the point is, we still have baggage. Those guys have no baggage.
Yeah.
They have no baggage, they have questions. Correct. So I am okay. Entitlement is something, the over wokeness to kind of fit in. Most of the wokeness is also to fit in. We have overcorrected. We were possibly, we didn't think before we cracked a joke, whether it could hurt somebody in the team, right? So at some small level, we didn't have that sensitivity, right? Whereas the other, now unfortunately, we've crossed over to a side where we are oversensitive. You can't create a joke. You can't say something like, oh, I've upset somebody. Come on, dude.
Okay. There are things I wanted to dig. I'll tell you the things that I wanted to dig with him. One is, while I've seen him have these big success stories, there are also phases of trial. In his talking about the self, these are all places that he was learning, trying to figure out. But I also find it exciting that he's able to put his trials, whatever he's trying on, trials in a certain framework, which is, I think, one of the things that I would personally like to learn from you as well. How do you framework a try? Like what you're doing right now, you're trying something. How do you framework a try to say that, this?
Bashop, you saw me the last time we met. I was on my last startup.
Right.
We were at Kabir's place. I was
Right.
shooting stuff. I was working with products I have never worked with. I've consumed wholeheartedly as a consumer. I've never operated a supply chain. I've never designed, never created, never sold, never done anything. Correct? A home decor startup, where I was taking licensing artwork, famous artworks, and trying to be inspired by some motive or something that inspired me in that painting, and then use that as a motive across products.
Right.
I was learning.
Right.
Correct? Though the framework was product has to be beautiful, product has to sell, right? Unfortunately, the sad reality of the business is also that it needs capital, and all different businesses need different kinds of capital to scale. Correct? In a country obsessed with value, white labeling, we were trying to be an outlier and create something really unique where art and culture as significant movers. If you're buying a 5 crore to 12 crore to 15 crore house, you're not going to walk in and buy something very generic. You might want something more unique, but it need not be luxury because you're still IT money. You're still not generational wealth, half black, half white. Mein ghar nahi kharida. Your fat EMI you're paying because you get a fatter than your EMI salary. Correct? Also, you want to be your purchase to be a reflection of your cultural and art quotient, right? Not just IQ, but EQ, but AQ, or your artistic quotient, not your intelligent quotient or emotional quotient, right? Unfortunately, the hard reality was we don't come from generational wealth, so we couldn't afford to burn and burn and burn. Distribution was going to be important for us to start scaling, which we were finding hard because most of the VCs in this country, they live with FOMO. They will happily fund something which can touch a million lives very quickly and will be a complete copy of something else happening next door. Correct? To the T. Correct? With the different skin, different name. Correct? Because somebody's invested in something. So, how did we miss out on that? And if you look at our startup ecosystem, a lot of it is that, right? Me Too's. Right? Some of them scale, some of them die, and various factors. Not going to touch upon that. So we were finding very difficult I got a tenth of the money that we were going to get. We knew it was time to shut it down. Fortunately, the initial investors were very kind enough to recoup, to absorb the brand, acquire the brand into their own things that they were running. And that's it. So we exited. Correct? So to me, you need to know when to fold. You need to know when to stop.
Exactly what I'm questioning as to what, like,
you have to read the signs. You can either say, no, I will continue to do it. I will build. Either you have to have some wherewithal. You can call it perseverance. You can call it.
No, what I'm trying to get with you is because I've seen you do it. You are able to draw a line between being persevering, which is a value, and being stupid. According to me, the difference between being persevering and stupid is not knowing when to stop.
I think, no, it's critical. It's critical to draw a line and say, okay, we need to stop. It's going to burn us out. It's not good for anybody.
That is a projected reality. The guy who's persevering is also projecting a different reality, saying that, boss, we don't know when, But
I don't know if I can answer that question with a very straight answer, saying these are the signs, right? It's also an inborn. I don't know. It's something that I've probably grown up with in the industry
right.
to know. Okay, this is like I said, 0 to 1, 1 to 10. If 0 to 1 isn't fantastic, right? Pitfalls up and down, and yours 1 to 10, the MVP to the PMF. If they're not fantastic, simple. If you haven't, simple. Your MVP has to be great. You can't convince yourself. Others have to be convinced. And PMF has to be even better. If those two are not met, drop the axe. At the best of the best of the best idea, drop the axe. Simple. If I have to answer it very hard-coded in a certain kind of
Yeah.
manner.
I mean, no, this is what I wanted to hear as well. Because, I mean, ideally, I would like a template saying that these are your 2 parameters or 3 parameters. Question it. If 2 out of 3 is tick, you know where you are. You can choose to persevere, but that's on you. You don't share liability in that case, right? Then you're trying to convince yourself, but know where you are, which essentially means it's an exercise of we will have to find this template out. And at some point of time, we'll call Gauti in that and say that this is where we are. Okay, Gauti, you've been having this conversation with us. It's fluid. What has been your experience of having this conversation with us?
It's interesting. It was fluid. Bashab, also the thing is, you and I go back so many years that ye chalta rahega. We can keep talking about things, correct? Some sort of a framework. That's why I called you yesterday. I've done enough podcasts and other things, not podcasts, but other interviews and all, to know panels and other things, to know that if there's a rough framework, you'll stick to that. Otherwise, it becomes too fluid and we lose track of time. And then towards the end, if there were important questions that could have been for your audience, will be left. So that's again, we're tying it back to creative folks leading, but letting someone set method to madness. So being a creative person, instead of getting carried away by my own ideas, I choose to work with people who can understand me, understand where my thoughts are coming from, put method to that madness. Correct? Fortunately, I married one like that. Fortunately, I'm working with folks like that. And the organizations that I've worked with, right, who have been full of people who could. So again, 0 to 1, you also establish, like, so one of the blocks is people.
Yeah.
Who will keep you real and say, yaar, ho gaya, abhi na, let's move on to the next topic. Correct? Right? And let's move on to the next topic. Let's move on to the next topic. Right? Or you can't do over-engineer this. Let's move on to the next task. Right? So that will be critical for you to scale this podcast also to a degree where you're not spending endless hours editing because there's too much content.
Right.
Because their topics are such. No, seriously, their topics are such where there are too many with bubbles and with everybody else. There'll be a lot of content. So it will help if you can,
create a structure.
Not structured, just loosely कि यार ये 4 चीजों के बारे में अपन बात करेंगे. Roughly, this will be the flow, right? Or we'll be chronological, or we'll do a Brownian motion of,
going to and from.
Yeah, like I linked my past of freelancing to my ability to create Mintra, right? So on and so forth. That was Brownian. That was not chronological, actually, right? So yeah, so that's my feedback more than criticism.
No, I received with.
And also because that will help you scale, because you right now, this is 0 to 1 for you, right?
Yeah.
This podcast itself is a 0 to 1.
Yeah.
Correct. It'll go on to become a 1 to 10, where you'll have some more illustrious names and bubbles of me or anybody else, correct, coming in. And सच में झंडे गाड़े, correct. I still feel I still have to put that झंडा in the.
झंडा हाथ में लेके घूम रहे हैं. गाड़ना जरूर.
गाड़ना जरूर है. Correct.
गाड़ना बाकी है.
गाड़ेंगे भाई, बिल्कुल गाड़ेंगे.
Don't worry, you already.
No, dude, no. It's okay in our own ways, yeah. But we always want to get the bigger झंडा, right? So, right. So to me, 10 to 100 will be
Right.
that.
Right.
That's the only. I submit with humble.
No, we receive it with gratitude, because there is no other platform for us to be able to receive this one-on-one, except the person who sat on that chair.
Yeah, and it's not meant to be a criticism. It's meant to be because it's a creative person leading it. Correct. And there are bound to be अरे सीनरी बड़ी अच्छी है, थोड़ी देर यहाँ पर चले आते हैं. You know, let's stay here.
Yeah.
नाले मारते नहीं. यार तेरे आगे चल भाई. easy.
Yeah,
नाले.
we are
Correct.
there, right?
But you need that guy to say, no, dude, let's carry on. You know, the destination's there. Correct. So yeah, so keep it real. Get that someone along who's real.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Give us a listen if you like what you see and hear. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.